the minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Great. So let's maybe, go to your question, Steve, for, a few minutes, and then we can
Just
talk
a couple
about.
minutes if we could.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we had talked last time, when this issue came up. I don't know, Steve, how you feel about this, but, I mean, you hate to go this route, but some sort of, penalty, that's sort of shared, that if everybody can't get their act together, there's just some kind of surcharge that everybody's going to face or something like that. I don't know if that's something that is worth entertaining or not.
The problem is, I don't know how under the current arrangement, the only organization that could levy the surcharge or a penalty would be on the housing authority. Because at this point, we don't know what each individual tenant is doing. So that's the problem with that alternative. And I'd hate to penalize the authority for something their tenants aren't abiding by. And I'm actually surprised. We rarely have this problem in the other apartment buildings. Once in a while we get some contamination and it's relatively easy to clean out. The problem is the rate of contamination is so high at Thomas Park that it's just impossible for the guys to go in and separate it all. So we generally take it as garbage. But
yeah, is it possible to think about, I don't know if this would work or not, but just to start off with something like a community information meeting or something, and just, put it to folks and kind of come up with some kind of stick that we come up with if this doesn't get resolved?
That's actually not a bad idea. I mean, I could run it by all of you first. I could draft something that we could send to each of the tenants, reminding them of the obligation and how they're supposed to do it. And we could try and see, if the rate of contamination goes down. And then I could discuss what the penalties would be.
Yeah.
That would have to be, I'd have to find out from the town attorney if I can say this legally, but that would be assessed on the authority and the individual tenants and see what we get. All right, let's try that, Melissa. Let me draft something. I'll run it by the town attorney on the issue of the penalty. I'll run it by Nuno. And maybe what we'll do is we'll just physically hand it out to each of the tenants, see how that works, and we'll take it from there. Let's see what happens to the rate of contamination.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel like, if people feel like they're actually going to have to pay for it, and I don't know if we'd even necessarily, I hate to say this, but, we can work out whether, the ways that you might follow through on that, but it doesn't mean we couldn't kind of put the suggestion out there, right? That's.
Yeah, no. I agree. Maybe if you hear from us, we'll try and make it a carrot and a stick to the sense that.
Well, yeah, that's always a good way to do
it. It'll be a mixed message. It won't just be a stick.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give that a try, and I'll run it. Okay. I'll send it to all of you first. See if you have any suggestions.
I can ask a question, Steve. I don't know, but I almost wonder too, if that were to come from the town as opposed to the housing authority, that may, feel different.
No, it will come from the town.
I think that might be effective. Yeah.
That's fine.
Great.
Yeah,
all right, thank you very much.
Hold on. Do you know how many guilty parties there are? I mean, is it 2, 3, 5?
It's hard to say because right now the individual tenants put their recycling in these large 1.5-yard dumpsters that are on the site. So unless I literally had a video camera, and actually one of my foremen said that, he said, what if we put a video camera there?
Right,
said, well, that is a possible other idea, but there's no way to identify the criminals on this one because we don't know who's dumping what into the dumpster.
I remember a friend of mine got caught because they went through the garbage and they saw their names on paper in there.
Well, we actually used to do that with the mail. People would put bags of garbage in the street cans in Larchmont, and we actually paid people for 3 or 4 weeks to go out on Sundays, rip the bags open, and we would send a letter saying, Mr. Jones, this was not where it's supposed to be. And believe it or not, it did stop it. It
worked. I know it worked. It worked with my friend.
Tried to say it was their private mail. We said, no. Once it goes in one of our garbage pails, you've lost your right to privacy.
That's exactly right.
Okay, well, let's try this first. I'm just going to run the letter by you for just to see if it sends the point the way we've talked about it, but it'll come from the town or the Joint Sanitation Commission.
That sounds great, Steve. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so I guess, just we invited Steve and Anna to come and talk to us about the Section 8 program. Diana, maybe in terms of the impetus for this, I don't recall exactly. I guess there was a question. No, I do remember the question. Sorry. We had talked about at our last meeting that there was I guess, a misunderstanding about the percentage of Section 8 voucher holders that could live in the Homex Park apartments, and that there's a 25% threshold, but that actually was a minimum, not a maximum. And the other point of clarification was that source of income, like Section 8 vouchers, is not a consideration in determining who should or shouldn't be a tenant of the Homex, but it's the tiers that we have set in place, and that's and then the review of the applications, obviously. But Diana, I know, were there other points of clarification that we want to talk about, or sort of more generally just learn more about the town Section 8 program?
No, I mean, that was the point that I had brought up last time, just that, I had someone who applied who was a Section 8 housing choice voucher holder and was told that sort of the Homex had reached their threshold of housing choice voucher holders. So that's when I started looking into it. And then Sabrina and I looked at the language, the MOU between the town and the housing authority. And then Steve was kind enough to clarify that it was a floor and not a ceiling. So I think we're kind of, that is clear on our end. I did notice when Nuno circulated the application that it does say, at the top of it, like Homex Park Apartments, like 42 units, and then it says like 11 Section 8. So maybe that should probably be removed as well, if we're not having a cap on how many housing choice voucher holders can reside there, kind of as an aside. But no, I mean, I guess in terms of Anna and Steve, and hi, Anna.
Hi, Diana.
I have kind of personally, of my own volition, met with Anna several times just when I joined the Housing Authority, wanting to get a better picture of what was happening in our community and sort of how the housing choice voucher program worked. So I found her to be an incredibly helpful resource and sort of like giving me the landscape and talking about how she administers the program and just what the needs are in the community. So I guess, Anna, if you're comfortable with it, maybe kind of sharing some of the stuff that you and I have talked about, and just kind of giving everyone a high level of what our Section 8 program looks like in our community.
Okay. We are funded through the Housing and Urban Development, United States, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and we have a program of 647 housing vouchers allocated to us. We don't have the resources or the funds from HUD to fill all those vouchers. So right now we're at about 475 or so that are being used. A voucher can go anywhere in the United States and the territories. So the people that have a voucher, you have a question?
Yes, I already do, Anna. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Okay,
but
no
can you
problem.
explain, so if we have 600 and some odd vouchers, but we can only fund 400 something, do you mean the federal government's only fulfilling a certain number that they had allocated to us, or what does that mean?
Yes, because the cost of living here is so much higher than other areas.
Okay.
The rents in our area are also, very high. This to give you a little bit of background, we participated in a demonstration program with HUD for what they called small area for fair market rents.
Mhm.
Every zip code in Westchester County has a different rental amount based on where they are and what the amenities are and things like that. So we've tried to adhere to that, even though the demonstration program was long over.
Okay.
And in terms of the Homex, there were originally 13 units that were designated for Section 8 tenants, and they were coming from our Section 8 program with a voucher, which means that we're paying the bulk of the rent. Tenants paying 30% of their income from whatever sources they have. And then it expanded a little bit because we weren't getting people that qualified for the units at the Homex. And I think we have I want to say we have 14 or 15 people living there right now from our Section 8 program. Westchester County has its own Section 8 program. It's no longer with Westchester County, it's with an agency called CVR, but they do the same thing. And I think there were a couple of other tenants at the Homics with a voucher as well.
Can I ask one more question, Anna? So when you say, you designated certain units, certain specific units, or just made a determination that X number of units would be reserved for?
I think, Steve, there were designated units at first, weren't
There
they?
were at first, but I don't think they are anymore, Melissa. I think now it's just, when there's a vacancy and Nuno lets Anna know, we just fill that vacancy.
Mm-hmm. The thing, like I said, too, is you can't discriminate against the source of income. So if someone has a voucher, that's a source of income. So you can't say we can only take so many people with a housing voucher, because that's not
Correct, yeah. And I guess what you said earlier, Anna, maybe this also applies to when you first, created the Humex, but you did say something though about the housing choice voucher and then the town covering the extra portion of the rent. I think you said that. Was that to do when you had designated Section 8 units and that's no longer the case?
well, the voucher belongs to the tenant. So,
Right.
so we're just paying the difference between the tenant's portion and the full amount of the rent. So if the tenant is only paying 30% of their income for rent, we're paying the difference up to whatever the threshold of the apartment's cost.
I guess that's where I'm getting lost a little bit, because I guess in my mind, the Section 8 voucher should cover the whole rent, but you're saying it doesn't. And so then the town is giving those units a discount? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Or no?
the housing authority would be receiving the full amount of whatever the rent is that in each particular apartment at the Homics.
Right.
What we would do is the tenant would pay 30% of their income,
Mm-hmm.
whatever sources they have, and the town pays the difference up to the amount of the full rent.
So the voucher is the difference, is what you're saying. So that's where the
Yes.
discrepancy between the 600 and the 400 odd.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But Anna, that rent, we ought to remind the authority that, that can't be any rent, right? There's got to be, when you look at the apartment rent, there are thresholds that HUD wants you to meet as well, correct?
Yes.
If they were charging $6,000 a month, that's not
Right.
something that HUD would accept.
Right.
No.
And that is
But-
an absurd example.
So there are, as I started to say, there's small area fair market rents. So every zip code has its own threshold for rent. I can't remember exactly how much. I think the fair market rents in Larchmont and Mamaroneck for a 1-bedroom apartment is like $1,600. So if the tenant can come up with a portion of that, whatever their income is, 30%, they would pay directly to the landlord, and we would pay the difference to the housing authority.
Got it.
Yeah, 60 for Anna from the handout you gave me. It's in Larchmont. It's $1,690 for an efficiency, and then 1 bedroom is
Oh, that's right.
$1,980. So there's kind of limits by municipality on what the actual cost can be at the different size apartments. If it's okay, Anna, can I share with the rest of the authority, the Westchester County, FMR by unit bedrooms document that you gave me?
Sure.
Okay.
Great. No, that's really helpful, Anna. It's just good to get, kind of a good overview so we're all on the same page. Barry, do you have any questions?
Where does the difference in the money come from? The town comes out of the town budget? I don't.
No, it comes from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Mhm.
So we have to collect information from all of our tenants at the Section 8 office to determine what their income is. And they pay 30% of their income toward the rent, and the voucher that we issue to them covers the difference.
All right, so you send somebody a bill for the difference?
Say it again?
You send the bill for the difference to somebody at the federal level?
The tenant is responsible for their portion,
Right.
and I pay the difference to the landlords every month.
All right, okay.
So the money flows from the federal government
Right.
into the town section
Right.
8 and then to the landlord.
Okay.
But we
And there-
write the check directly to the landlord.
Okay,
Yes.
so there's no loss to the town.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And there's also, I found this to be a helpful piece of information. Anna had mentioned that there's also a very small kind of like administrative fee that is paid by HUD to the agency that administers it, because Anna has a staff of wonderful ladies that work for her. And so that stipend from the government helps to like defray some of the salary and overhead related to the folks that work for her that administer it,
Okay.
which I also like found that helpful as well.
Right, the ad administration costs.
May I ask a clarifying question? Anna, you say we only use a portion of the potential vouchers that we have. And that is because the federal government will not reimburse us for more? There's a cap on the reimbursement?
The HUD budget, depending on, year to year, we're never able to fill all 647 vouchers because HUD's not providing that much money. We're starting to see the CARES Act. We got pandemic money, and we were allowed to do a lot of things, including paying for security deposits and additional things like that. And at some point, we've been told to use that funding through the CARES Act until the money's gone, and then dip into our regular housing assistance money that we get from HUD.
But under the normal course of events,
Mm-hmm.
if 10 or 20 more people came to you, you wouldn't be able to issue a voucher because there wouldn't be enough HUD money to.
That could happen, yes. It hasn't happened in the 17 years I've been here yet, but
But it could.
And Anna, can you also share with the rest of the folks sort of the breakdown of housing choice voucher holders who reside within our community and then those that reside outside of the town of Mamaroneck, just because that was something that I was a bit surprised by as well. And I think it's
Right.
that's a helpful context as well, if you don't
this is like a moving number because
mind. Right. I know it changes every
we
day.
have about 275 households living in the town of Mamaroneck, village of Mamaroneck, and village of Larchmont. And any person that has a voucher has to live in the same place for 1 year, and then they can take that voucher and what's called portability, port out to any other jurisdiction that has a Section 8 voucher. So we have, out of that total number, we've had about, since I've been here, somewhere between 250 and 275 vouchers locally within. And part of the demonstration project that we did also was to really encourage people to be able to live in areas where there are good schools, where there are jobs, where there are opportunities to move into a better living condition. And it's something that's really worked and helped a lot of our families.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess then a follow-up question, Anna, is that, so there's 475 vouchers that are being used currently, and about 275, plus or minus, depending on the day, are folks that reside within our community. So that leaves about 200 folks that are receiving their housing choice voucher from, administered through your office, but may reside, definitely don't reside within our community and could reside literally anywhere in the United States or territories. Right. So if we had more, affordable housing, meaning the rents were not so high as to cross over the threshold, the FMR threshold within the town of Mamaroneck, would more voucher holders be able to remain in the community instead of having to seek, housing elsewhere?
Are you asking a question?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm asking a question.
I think
Yeah,
it's probably just an
question mark.
opinion question,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Question.
obviously there's not like a data-driven answer to that, but it's probably just more of a question on an impression, right?
Yeah.
Based on your experience.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, once you have a voucher, you have to stay in the area for a year, and then you can go anywhere that there's another voucher program. And what happens then is either the receiving PHA, the person we're sending you to, because you want to live in Brooklyn, has the option to bill us for that tenant, so the voucher belongs to us, or they can absorb it into their program, and then we have a free voucher to give to someone else.
But the bottom line is, after a year, we can't force them to stay in the town. We can't say, if you leave the town, we'll take your voucher away. Right?
Yeah.
I guess I was just trying to speak to the demand for affordable housing within our community. Maybe it was a weird way of asking it.
And I think, the Westchester County Housing Needs Assessment, that was just done. And I know Nancy Sullivan mentioned that Norma Drummond from County Planning had given a presentation to the town board. And I was, looking to see if we could find the recording for us to watch, because I think that would answer the question a little better, Diana, because they did a thorough, demand analysis on that. So I will follow up and see if I could get that recording for us to watch at our leisure.
We can send you the, Melissa, we can send you the PowerPoint.
Oh, that'd be great, Steve.
So why don't I do that? We'll send the PowerPoint that Norma did, so you can share it with the rest of the authority.
Great, thank you. That would be terrific.
Okay, and that's called the Westchester County Housing Needs Assessment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I could send you the needs assessment document. I have the PDF, Diana, but I was just curious on, the presentation that County Planning Commissioner gave to our town was specific to our town. The full document breaks it down by town also, but it just thought it'd be helpful to, to hear that or to see that slide deck. That'd be great. Great. Well, I don't want to keep you guys, and I want to keep our agenda moving. Does anybody have any other questions?
No, I'm set. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Okay.
Steve and Anna, thank you so
Thank
much for joining us.
you.
We appreciate it.
Good to see you guys. Thanks,
Well,
Steve. Thanks, Anna.
Bye.
All right.
See you tomorrow, Steve.
Diana, I wonder, we should probably email Nuno since it's not jumped on. You sent him the link earlier. We
Yeah.
yeah.
He sent it, but he did say in an email today that he had 2 other meetings. I guess he wasn't aware of our meeting today, so he was going to try and do his best, but I will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hang on one sec. Let me see exactly what he said. Yeah, he said, I have 2 meetings tonight, but can send a brief summary on any agenda item if needed. This was to you and me at like
sorry, I must have
1:44.
missed
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
So I don't think he's going to be able to make it tonight.
Okay.
But because he just said I can send a brief summary on any agenda item if needed.
Okay, well, I guess so. 2 questions for us then. One, obviously, we're not gonna be able to discuss the gas pipe situation without Nuno, since he didn't send us an update on that, and I didn't request it specifically, so I apologize.
Okay.
I missed that email.
No, it's okay.
But, so, and then the other is the budget. He did send us the budget, so we can go through that ourselves, or if we feel like we need him to walk us through it. Do you guys have an opinion on that?
My opinion is it's very similar to last year, except insurance went down and we don't have to pay the construction bond anymore. Those are the 2 major differences. So I'm fine without him. I mean, do we have to approve the budget?
We do need to officially approve the budget. That's an action item that we need to take. So, and that was my understanding of actually the main reason for meeting, because we only met 2 weeks ago, that we needed to meet again so we could approve the budget.
Well, I'm fine with the budget, but, and the capital, there's a capital budget and operating budget.
Right.
You were very concerned with, he sent a separate email on the capital budget, which I think all the things you knew about, and the timing. I don't know if you approve a capital budget if it really means anything.
Well, it's still, I mean, things can change obviously, but it's just, a general frame for how we think the year is going to go.
Because you guys have been involved with the gas pipe situation and the vents and the whole mess up of the previous people and the asbestos in the wrong place. And I don't know what happened on Friday. The gas thing was an emergency, and it seems like it's not an emergency anymore. So maybe he worked it out. He was ready to close the whole building down and worried about Con Ed and Thanksgiving. And
did that not happen, Barry? Because when I talked to Nuno on whatever it was it Friday? It seemed like that's the direction it was going. Did you talk to him after Friday?
No, but I'm only seeing from what I heard from him. If it would have been such an emergency, he would have met with us. So, I mean, I gave him some suggestions and things to do, and maybe he did them. I don't know, but maybe it wasn't leaking as bad, or maybe I'm only guessing. So,
Sabrina, have you heard anything on the town side about this? No.
And I would think that if he had to shut the gas off, he would have told us. I would hope he would have told us. So,
when I spoke to him, it sounded like that was what he was planning to do.
Yeah, but subject to, he was going to meet with Con Ed, and he was going to meet with the gas people and meet with his plumber and try to determine where the leak was and what pipe it was and what building it was. And like I say, maybe he did that work on Friday and worked it out. Or
I mean, like, my understanding was that there was 3 impacted apartments and that those folks would have to be relocated, and it takes about a week, 5 days, and to, relocate it, and all of that would be fixed. But if you guys gave him the green light to kind of do that, then like, he's pretty efficient. So I'm sure he would have gotten cracking on, all of that. I guess
I certainly gave him the green light to do it. It's an emergency, do whatever he had to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He should have responded us. He should have given us what he did. I mean, it was important enough that it shouldn't have been ignored to us, in my opinion. He should have done something today to tell us what was going on. So, especially since I thought he was going to be here with a report.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of disappointed.
That is frustrating. I'm pretty sure we talked about the next meeting time at the last meeting. So I think,
we definitely did.
He probably just kind of, missed that. But
I thought it was in his head because he sent this capital budget last night at like 6 o'clock. I said, what's he doing working on Sundays at 6 o'clock? But he was.
Yeah, no, and actually, now that you mentioned it too, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but I did send an email last week saying, please send us the budget so we have it ahead of our meeting. I think two things what we can do. One is, going forward, I'll just send a calendar invite to all of you so that we all have it on our calendars. So that will solve that problem of people knowing, and then we'll, LMC will send us the links, but everybody should have it in their calendar. And then 2, I can email him right when we get off and just ask him to please send us an update by email as to just the status of what's going on with that situation. And then we can decide if it requires anything on our side or not.
So, and Melissa, you asked about what do we want to do? I agree with Barry. I looked over the budget and it looked pretty similar, plus or minus some small things relative to last year. I think my understanding, the purpose of our meeting today was that last time when Sal and Rick were still here, we were looking over the proposed capital expenditures, and Rick had asked him to do a 5-year capital plan because it's hard, like, without that context, to get a sense of, what needs to happen like now or versus what can wait. And so I think that kind of was what, was the kind of the missing puzzle piece for me, was like the 5-year capital plan. So, it would say, like, I mean, we obviously have to fix the gas, and I know we approved that last time, but there was several other, proposed CapEx, items that were discussed, and it was hard to kind of figure out, if they need to be done next year, or do they just need to be done in the next 5 years, and therefore this kind of plan. So I don't know if I missed it, but I didn't see like a 5-year, like I saw the,
I know
I saw
it's not, it's just up
capital.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this doesn't go that far. It's just next year.
Okay,
No,
gotcha.
it goes through 2022. I mean, there's a couple things that were missing to me. One is you discussed windows, which aren't here, and you discussed appliances. And I think maybe
Yeah.
the appliances are more, and the windows are more important than the other things that are here. So,
Well, appliances are here actually down at the bottom, appliance replacement,
okay.
Yeah.
510.
Yeah. Row
But you're right, I don't see the
74.
windows. Well, no.
Oh, it says work with a window replacement project. It says fall 2020. It does say it here, but he doesn't say, he just said hire an engineer. So that's as far as he's gotten. So maybe a little bit more, some more work has to be done, and need some more numbers and figures, and priorities have to be made. That's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily want to approve this if,
Yeah, I'm not hearing you, Barry.
if
Yeah.
it's incomplete.
Yeah. Well, the only thing is we need to approve a budget, I believe, before the end of the year. And we didn't necessarily want to meet again in December. We met 2 weeks ago, and the intent was to approve this today. But we can't approve something that we don't think is.
Well, I'll approve an incomplete budget pending the January meeting, and to be revised.
Well, maybe we can do it that way. Barry, that's actually really, I like that suggestion. Why don't we maybe approve, with conditions?
Right.
And the condition can be, that we would like to see a 5-year capital budget, by January 1st or December 31st or something like that, that it's, shared with us, and we can look at it and approve it at our January meeting.
Right. We have to tell him it's incomplete, what's missing. But if he's got to meet with an engineer and study it, and it's not going to happen till next year sometime. So he needs some time to work on some of these issues, and he's got to do some counts on windows. We have to know how many appliances in each. There are 3 appliances, and there are 50 apartments, and there's 150. He needs 150 dishwashers, 150 stoves, and that's what the cost of those are. So I think there's some ciphering to do, or counting to do, or all the things that you do when you do a budget. So
sorry, just so I'm like totally clear for our notes, are we approving the 2021 proposed budget, but excluding, like, the only capital expenditure that we've approved thus far is the gas pipe replacement that was approved at the end of October at 120 grand. Everything else on the list of capital expenditures is TBD because we need it as a large year 5.
I don't think so, Diane. I mean, I know we talked about, the deck. I see the deck on here, new deck, summer of 2020 in this year, right? And that's in here.
Yeah, but you know what happened with the gas pipe? He was telling me every time they removed asbestos to get to the vent or get to they saw other pipes that needed to be done. So it's not, one thing leads to more pipes and more work. So it might not be as simple as $25,000 per gas line. Because then when they do the gas line, they have to do the vent, they have to do then there's old, pipes, the metal pipes like I had in my house when I moved in that all had to be redone to copper. So it's not that simple. And I don't know exactly. You might want to say the board really will do the capital budget. It'll be more of a moving budget, or a budget to be added to or subtracted to, or I have no problem with the operating budget. Capital, you're talking about a long range thing, and I don't think it was done adequately. But okay, however you want to put it.
Well, no, I mean, I think, I hear you, Barry. So I think we can go ahead and approve the operating budget going forward. And I think that's really important because that's, obviously the daily, monthly expenses. And I think, I think we can approve the capital budget with conditions and just say that we want to continue to work on this with Nuno. I think that's okay.
Okay, fine.
That's it okay with you, Sabrina?
I have to admit, I do not know what the legal obligation is for you to approve or not. I mean, it's irresponsible to approve a budget that's not appropriately put together, but I think you might want to follow up with Nuno, and so you might have to meet again this year before the end of the year. Should probably check with him.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
I guess it's too bad Steve's not still on with us. We could ask him that question.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I know, we had talked, like, when I look at this budget, I don't know if the changes we had talked about last time, like I would need to check this version versus the last one, but like, we wanted to change the vacancy rate and that'll affect, the top line. And so I just like, maybe, if you want to give me a few minutes, I can like look it over as well.
Well, I'll also say, Diana, I mean, I don't think we need to rush to approve it. If we're not comfortable with it, then we shouldn't approve it. I mean, a question that I have is obviously like, it would be also helpful to have income and expenses, not just, like our, all of our bank accounts and sort of where everything sits alongside this budget, which, maybe it's in a different spreadsheet. It's not in the sheet that I'm looking at.
No, that was in the monthly report. The monthly report had all the bank accounts on it and all that stuff. I haven't been working at it long enough to put those two ideas together because I really didn't study. I just got the operating report too, and it was like 30 pages. I didn't print it out.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think it would be just for us to think about in general. When I look at this spreadsheet, it's just a lot of numbers. It's not really easy to read and understand, and it would be helpful to have all that information, together, so you don't have to go look through the PDFs of, the bank accounts and look through the spreadsheet. Right. So,
but regard to capital, he was using the money that was coming off the no longer needed construction budget. So he was offsetting all the new expenses against the whatever it is, the $250,000 that is now available from that construction budget that doesn't have to be paid anymore. So I think that may be helpful when you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
I guess my vote, if we're taking votes, would be to do another meeting with Nuno on this call. And then I think we can probably, get the budget, all of our questions answered. I feel like it's probably fine, but just out of like kind of an abundance of caution, and I'm just looking, like I compared the one he sent today versus the one we talked about last time. And I know we had talked about changing the projected vacancy, like from 2.5 up to 5, which will change the top line number, and like that's not reflected. So I think we probably want to like just.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't think it'll take forever, but just like probably meeting one more time with him on the call to just go over some of the questions and.
All right, if you want to, I'm interrupting you, but if you want to fine tune that, I think that those kind of numbers are not material. That's it's a term I use because a few thousand here, a few thousand there on the operating side. I say, well, okay, but that's up to you if you want to understand that better. I remember we discussed it at length, that vacancy thing. Right.
So I'm just saying, like, it doesn't, the changes that we discussed are not reflected in the budget that was sent. So we all agreed that
it was discussed. It was discussed and not put forward.
Right. So we can't really approve it then. I mean, that's sort of the point, right? If we discuss and ask for something and it's not in the actual budget, we can't approve the budget we're looking at. And since Nuno's not here to hear us remind him to make that change, then we can't assume that it's in there, right? So I think just technically speaking, we really can't.
Okay, right. Look, I have no problem with another meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it does say, like, I'm just looking at the notes and it says other notable changes. The ground lease is going up by 1.5% and the vacancy rate will be recalculated to 5%. The board voted unanimously to increase Louis' pay. Like, so the things I think that we talked about on 1027 should probably be reflected in this budget that he sends to us. So I would say, like, my ideal situation would be he revises the 2021 budget with the stuff that was already discussed at the 1027 meeting, because like we already talked about it and like we don't need to, talk about it anymore. 2, that a, capital plan, a 5-year capital plan, not just what the plan is for next year, is presented. And then I think the 5 of us can get together and probably like pretty efficiently go through it. So that would be like my preference, but you're I defer to you. So you tell
No, but if we have to make sure we have all our questions highlighted for Nuno, because we don't
So
want
let's send him an email with those points.
just remember all.
Diana, I'm happy to send him an email and CC all of you and just, to go over that and be specific with him and just schedule, hopefully just a 30-minute meeting where the only agenda item is to approve the budget and just get that done.
But I don't want to drive you crazy too. Say, well, you forgot this little point, you forgot that little point. I just want to make sure that you, Diana, is the contact person and try to include everything that we can remember.
I mean, it's in the minute, like it's not like sort of probing the depths of our memory. I like write stuff down because I would not have remembered this. So it's.
No, I know. The MOU has the ground lease and the cost of the ground lease. I remember reading it and it's a 1.5% increase every year. So they should be like the auditors even should have a schedule of the ground lease and the pilot. That should all be in somebody's, not even notes, but like an auditor's report based on general ledger. But I'm too new to be driving everybody crazy. I don't want to be nitpicky either.
Okay, well, I think that what I'm hearing, I think the easiest way to solve this is we can probably close this conversation for the purpose of today's meeting. I'll go back to the minutes from the 27th, Diana, and send Nuno an email, CCU 3, just with the specifics of what we're looking for from him ahead of the next meeting, and that we'll have a 30-minute budget conversation where he'll take us through it and we'll vote to approve the budget.
Right. But I want to make sure that all of us know what's in the MOU and what's regarding the pilot and the ground lease.
Well, I'd say, let me ask him, Barry, to send that to us with enough time to review it properly. And as a treasurer, if you don't mind taking that on to take what he sends us and take a look and make sure that that's consistent.
Yeah, if I don't have, as soon as I have it, I'm happy to study it, review it. And I'm sure the auditors, because I was talking to Sal about, I'm supposed to meet the auditors and sign off on all these things are being done financially. So that's all part of the audit, as far as I'm concerned. So, and I don't know if these things have come up before. I don't know how long you guys have been on the board. So I don't even know what you've been through before. So.
Sorry, just for the sake of my accuracy of my notes.
Sure.
So Barry was going to get the, can you just recap what you said, Melissa, so I have this accurate?
Yes, so I will take a look at the notes, the meeting minutes from 1027. I will send an email to Nuno and CC, the 3 of you, asking specifically for the items we already asked for on the 27th, ask him to update the budget to reflect those items, to send it to us with a week's notice prior to the next meeting, which we'll schedule now, so that Barry has enough time to take a look and go through and make sure it's consistent, with his understanding of what's in the MOU. And, obviously all of us will make sure that all the other things that we asked for are in there. We'll have, a 30-minute meeting. We'll go through the budget with Nuno and we'll vote to approve it.
Okay. Perfect.
You're going to ask him for the 5-year capital plan? Right?
Yes.
As part of that. Okay.
As part of that. Yeah.
Okay.
That should be in the minutes too, I'm sure, but I'll double check.
Yeah, for those appliances, windows, more clarification on all those other issues, 3 years out, 4 years out. I know I'm going over it again, but I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. So then, got it. I think I have that.
Great. So then we only have one more item on the agenda, and then we'll set that meeting date. So, Diana had reached out to Steve Altieri to ask the question about whether the Housing Authority could go ahead and support the Mamaroneck Housing Coalition's campaign, vis-a-vis just putting our logo or, our name on the website just to say, yes, we support this effort. We think it's important. And Steve got back. He spoke to Bill Maker in an email that he shared with Diana, and Diana forwarded to me that says that there's no issue with that. If our board decides we would like to do that, we are entitled to do that. So I feel like that's the sort of thing we probably want to vote on, and we can discuss and then vote. Diana, did I miss anything on that?
No, we last time we talked about just because I was saying like, you know, organizations are putting their like logos and, you know, whatever like support into this initiative and asking if Housing Authority wanted to join. So we wanted to check with Steve if that would be okay. Like, are we allowed to do that? And it, you know, from his research, it looks like it would be fine. So yeah, it's now back to us to decide if we want to do that.
So as long as Steve says it's okay, I'm okay.
All right,
So
me
should we make a
too.
motion? Should we make a motion to lend our support officially to the Mamaroneck Affordable Housing Coalition
Yes.
campaign?
Yeah, I second that.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
But I also
Do we
think-
have a logo, or is it just the Housing Authority?
I don't know, Sabrina, I looked at the Town of Mamaroneck website and there is like, it says Housing Authority and it like describes what we're supposed to do, but I didn't see a logo. So,
I don't think there's a logo separate.
okay, I'll just do something that says like Town of Mamaroneck Housing Authority, not to like with letters. I'm not going to make
Nice
up a
font.
logo. Yeah. I won't go crazy, I promise.
Is anybody a good artist here?
Find the logo.
No, I can, but I promise I will make something that is not, I can send it to you guys if you want. Just
No,
I'm sure it's
literally
fine,
the
Diana.
words.
You can handle it.
Okay.
We trust you.
Okay.
Okay,
I
great.
love
Well, so that's good. And then, so last item is why don't we just pick a date for this budget meeting? And I will immediately send a calendar invite to all of us, so there's no
Okay.
confusion about that.
I think it should try to be earlier in December because everybody gets busy. Well, I don't know if anybody's
Absolutely,
busy with
yeah.
anything. I don't know if anybody's busy with anything this year. So
Well,
There's a lot
That's a
of
good point,
evening
too.
meetings with, I don't like, for some reason, like, I feel like there's like a lot of, I don't know. I have a lot of evening meetings, so I think it's good to schedule it now.
okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
so should
saying.
we look at the week of the 7th?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Keep it to the beginning of December.
Yeah.
I could do the 8th or the 9th that week.
9th is good for me.
I'm always available.
Is that okay for you, Sabrina?
I cannot do the 9th.
You can. What day that week is good for you, Sabrina? You probably have the busiest schedule of everybody.
Tuesday. I have meetings
Oh.
Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay, Tuesday it is. We'll keep it to 30 minutes, we promise.
Like Diana said, we have a lot of night meetings.
Okay, so
Okay.
are you saying 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, the 8th?
Yes.
Okay. And are you going to want LMC to facilitate as well?
Yes.
Okay. I will notice that and set it up. And the attendees are going to be the 4 of us plus Nuno.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just confirm with Nuno before you get LMC going,
Yes.
given the present circumstances.
Agreed.
Well,
I'm going to send this calendar invite as soon as we get off the phone, so he should have it. So we
Isn't
should
LMC
be-
required?
It's not LMC that's required. It's
I mean, it's, okay. Okay, sorry.
but nonetheless, if Nuno can't make it, you guys might want to reschedule.
You know, we won't do it without Nuno.
Okay.
My only point.
Okay. Anything else anybody want to cover before we adjourn?
I think that's it.
I vote to
Motion to
adjourn the
adjourn?
meeting.
Okay. Sounds good.
You second me
Second you.
on adjourning. See everybody by email.